is good, y'all? It's your boy Ty back here with another video. Now, in this video today, we are going to be talking about the 250K tournament yesterday, how it was ran, some kind of highlights from yesterday's kind of performance, including a couple games in the first round that were absolutely insane, and then obviously my road to ultimately win the Xbox side of the 250K. So what does that mean? Before we go any further, what does that mean? What does that mean is there's a $250,000 pot. Winner gets 200,000, loser gets 50,000. Obviously, I'm going to be playing my man Splashy in the finals. If you don't know, the last, I would say probably the last 2 years, right? 2K20, 2K21, me and Splash have kind of collided. We've had probably the biggest rivalry in 2K, and I don't think there's really that many people that are going to debate that. We've kind of been we've met at the top multiple different times, especially pre-250 last year, pre-250 this year. We've met at the top quite a bit. So for the MyTEAM community as a whole, it's a massive W, seeing, in my opinion, the top two MyTEAM players in the game get to battle it out. Because that's obviously what the 250K tournament is for, right? You can say whatever you want about the qualifier system, 2Ks, whatever you want. At the end of the day, in my opinion, they got the best two guys in the finals, and so hold the W, 2K, because that's obviously what everybody wants to see. But before we dive into yesterday's kind of exact performance, if you are new to my channel and have not yet, please smash that subscribe button, as we are on the road to 50,000 subscribers. The recent support has been absolutely crazy, and I cannot thank each and every one of you guys enough. The link to my Twitter will be down below in the description. So if you do not yet, stay tuned or hit the follow button to kind of stay up to date on kind of my YouTube videos, because I do post them on Twitter and everything like that. So we're just gonna go over at least some highlights in the first round of action. So one game that obviously we'll go over my game first versus Brian. In my game versus Brian, I think I got down like 11-4, something like that. I was down 7 early on. Obviously, by halftime, I closed the gap. I think I was maybe up 3 at halftime. And then in the third quarter is really when I extended my lead. I ended up with a 19-point win, but the game was a lot closer than that, in my opinion, especially early on. I would say for my first game, kind of going into it, I wasn't super nervous. Nervous is not the right word. I was just I was excited, but at the same time, you do have the first game, not nervous, but you're not comfortable, right? That's the best way I can describe it. I wasn't comfortable early on in that game, and then I got comfortable throughout it. And then other first round games that were super good that I ended up watching was Ramo versus Claymont. That was a good game. The score was 14, but it was a lot closer of a game than that. Honestly, that was a good game to watch. Jomar versus Swaggy. Now, I don't think I can show the exact highlight, but the Jomar versus Swaggy game was absolutely insane. For you guys that don't know, my guy ImJustIsaac was streaming. What happened was Swaggy was up 6 points with 10 seconds left. 6 points. 10 seconds left. Okay, so Isaac clicked off the game, whatever. Swaggy, I think, made a couple of free throws, put him up 6. That possession, Jomar got fouled on a three-pointer, made all three free throws. So that cut the lead to 3. He got an inbound steal, got a layup, so that cut the lead to 1. And then in this way, he got the inbounds pass, got fouled, made both free throws. The lead was 3. Jomar hit a crazy shot when he threw it back to the inbounder to tie the game, send it to overtime, and then in overtime, Jomar did get the victory. So that was an absolutely incredible game. And honestly, I think whoever came out of that game was who I was probably going to see in the finals, because you look at it, Jomar beat Ramo by 11, and honestly, Jomar was in control of that game for the most of the way. So I think whoever came out of that is probably who I would have ended up seeing in the championship. Smoke versus Fade, that was a highly anticipated game. The thing I like about that is both of them were West Coast players, so the delay wasn't bad. And then you look at the last Xbox game, 104-110. What am I seeing? Does anybody like to play defense? That game wasn't even overtime, I don't think. Maybe it might have been overtime. I don't know. But 110-102, like, y'all just must hate defense, because that is absolutely insane to me. So I briefly went through the Xbox side of round 1. Now, the PlayStation side was interesting because you had Pepinex versus Lucker. That wasn't really a close game. Honest versus Jen. That game was insane. Now, you can find all of these highlights. I think Isaac streamed these games. That's where I watched them. But Honest versus Jen was an intriguing game, because I think it was about 30 seconds left. Jen hit a 3 to put him up 3, 4, or 5 points. I don't know what exactly it was, but Jen hit a 3 to everybody thought it clinched it. Jen paused Honest, and then proceeded to lose the game. So Jen paused Honest. I think the 3 really put him up 5 points. It might have been like 40 seconds left. Honest comes down, gets a bucket. Jen misses a shot. Honest greens a 3 to send it into overtime and pauses Jen back. So that game was like super just entertaining. And then in overtime, Honest did proceed to win. And Honest made a definite deep run. Now, the Vista versus Zeb Warrior game, I think that went to 4 or 5 overtimes. I was hearing in that game, people were shooting post hooks. And then that game was just absolutely insane. Now, I didn't watch that game, but I definitely heard that game was just played in a very unique fashion. Vardo rifle, I have no idea anything about that game. Our Xavier and Cable, that game had a lot of hype behind it, obviously, because of the whole situation. I'm not getting into it, but obviously Cable did come out of that one. MJ's over CMARS, that was a highly anticipated matchup as well. MJ's was very tough yesterday. Splash beat Panda by about 30 but for the first half, it was kind of close, and then Nick shoots those. Ultimately got beat by T-Loading. So second round, I would say any big upsets that happened, I don't really see any huge upsets. If there was an upset that a lot of people on P4 didn't think would happen, I would say it would be the Honest over Jen. So round 2 on Xbox, Lord J, YD, and Defense to Offense had a very competitive game. Lord J was up the majority of the game, and then Defense to Offense made a push at the end to secure the win over Lord J. So that ultimately could have been my matchup as long as I secured the bag versus Chris. And I would say against Brian and Chris, I felt like I greened at least a decent amount of my shots, but against Defense to Offense and Jomar, I was just all over the place. But that's besides the point. Versus Chris, I think it was about a tie game at the end of the first quarter. And then the second quarter, third quarter, I really extended my lead and was able to kind of exert what I do with my full court press, force turnovers, as well as just speed the game up. Jomar versus Rainbow. That was a game I thought would come down to the wire. Honestly, I thought Rainbow obviously is a 2 seed. He was probably, I don't want to say necessarily favored because Jomar is the defending champ, but I thought the game would maybe be a little bit close because that game throughout was just 10 to 15 points. Now, obviously, it's a best of 1. So anything can happen in this tournament, as you guys know, but I was surprised to see that. In round 2, Mad Hub beat Fade by about 30, guys. That game was wild to me because I went in there and Fade was losing by about 30. So that game was interesting to me. I wouldn't say anything other than that, but it was just an interesting game to kind of see unfold with what happened in the future. Back to the PlayStation side, round 2, Honest did beat Luckershot. Zeb beat Vardo. Now, if you guys know, I matched up with Zeb in one of my gameplays earlier this week, and I was able to get the win. So it was kind of cool to see Zeb Warrior make the run that he did. Obviously, after Zeb and on Vardo, you had Cable versus MJ's, which I think MJ's won that pretty handily. Then you had Splash versus T-Loading. Now, that was a matchup in which T-Loading was up 6 points, I think, in the third quarter. But like we know, Splash has the most explosive offense we have seen in 2K history, and he put that on display yesterday. Coming back, beating T-Loading by, I think, about 10 points. Maybe it was a little less than that, but I think he secured by about 10 points. So that set up the matchup between MJ's and Splashy that everybody wanted to see, as well as the top side of the bracket, Honest versus Zeb Warrior. Guys that really, they did their thing yesterday. In my round 3 matchup versus Defense to Offense, that was the opponent that gave me the biggest trouble. You guys will see my wins by 19 versus Brian, 17 by Chris. Jomar, I think, was like by 15 or 20. Defense to Offense, I beat by 4 points. And the biggest thing that I couldn't do against him is I had so much trouble getting stops. I remember in the first quarter alone, I think he put up 26 points on me, and I was stunned. I was definitely stunned. A lot of credit goes to Defense to Offense. Took me out of my rhythm completely. Honestly, I was not in my rhythm on defense at all, making rotations that I shouldn't make, and I was unlocked for a little bit of that game just because I was so frustrated. The hardest thing about this tournament is that everything is a best of 1. So if you have one bad quarter, one bad game, it's sometimes hard to make up for it. For example, in the Defense to Offense game, I got down 9-0. Obviously, if you put yourself down 9-0, you're already in a huge deficit in a 20-minute game for $250,000. So for me to be able to overcome that, I think that was some good resiliency, and that was obviously my toughest test. And getting through that, I was confident going in the finals, right? Once I got past that round, I was confident. And I wouldn't say I was nervous even in that game, but in the back of your mind, you know, if you lose, you're done, right? It's not even about the money. It's just like, if you lose, you're done. And so that's obviously in the back of your mind, but I was able to overcome some adversity. So got blessed with some whites because I didn't green very much that game. A lot of people ask me, what did I play that game on West? I can't tell you for sure. I can't tell you. But a lot of times I don't really feel delay like that. I would say I didn't green very many shots, and that's the fact of the matter. Now, on the other side of this game, it was very interesting. I still don't know exactly what's going on, but as you guys can see, this game did end up in a disqualification because Fly Guy Ride did violate some sort of rule. So that's what happened in that game. But I don't know because obviously Deeds in Fade, I don't look. All I'm going to say is this. I think 2K handled this situation right. Whatever Fly Guy Ride did wrong, whether as there's been rumors that people were playing on his account. Now, if that's the case, if somebody was indeed playing on Fly Guy Ride's account and he did get disqualified against Jomar, then if the person was playing against Fade and Deeds, it's in my opinion, it's hard, right? Because Deeds, you know, could have definitely came out of that side of the bracket, and so that's the only thing about it. It's hard, right? But it's hard on 2K, right? If they didn't find out, or if they just know it was a different person playing on it versus Jomar, so it's hard to go back and disqualify if they don't know that was indeed the case. So there's a lot of pressure put on 2K with this situation. What I'm glad 2K did is they took time and figured it out. I was waiting for my opponent for an extra hour and a half. And I'm glad that I played Jomar instead of a guy who obviously was violating some sort of rules, whether somebody was playing on his account, which I think is probably the case, or whatever the case may be. Now, I'm not going to say this. I'll say this, guys. In my video pre-250K, I told you guys that somebody is going to be playing on somebody else's account. I knew it was going to be a thing. There was 100% chance that it was going to happen, and we saw it today, or yesterday. We saw it yesterday with Fly Guy Rye. And it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. Until I hope 2K sees that the improvements they can make in the future, because if we can eliminate this for next year, make people whether it's face cams, whether it's tracking IPs, I don't know what the case can be. But if 2K can make it more like, I don't know, more set in stone, more whether we fly everybody out in person, I don't know, man. But there's got to be some more set format, I do believe, for this. But that's obviously what happened with the Jomar versus Fly Guy Rise situation. Now, that game was close as well. That was like a 5-point game, so it's not like Jomar got blown out. It was definitely a very, very close game. So I'm not going to sit here and say Jomar didn't deserve to be in the finals, because I would just completely disagree. He had, in my opinion, the toughest road playing. Swaggy round 1, Ramo round 2, then obviously Fly Guy Rye round 3, and me round 4. So no doubt about it, I believe Jomar deserved to be in the finals. Now, looking back at the PlayStation side, you had, who do we have? We had Honest versus Zeb Warrior. Like I said, both of those guys just trying to kind of not necessarily make a name for themselves, but those guys are, in my opinion, neither one of them are like content creators, streamers, 2K League players. And so, though, in my opinion, it was good to see those guys put on a performance, especially Honest, because Honest, even in the finals, even all day, he had a tough road. He had Jen, then he had Lucker, then he had Zeb, and then he had Splash. He had a tough road, and that dude was balling. And when I say balling, he was using Rick Barry. No money spent type vibes. He was balling, man. And he did get the win over Zeb Warrior. Now, in that game, Honest had to come back. Zeb had him on the ropes. Honest came back to win the game. But no doubt about it, Zeb did definitely have him on the ropes. And then you got MJ's versus Splash. Like I said, pretty close and competitive game. Splash did take over towards the end, but back and forth game, 4 points, and that's like the game everybody on P4 wanted to see. Splash versus MJ's. Obviously, both of them have absolutely incredible offenses. Splash did end up coming out on top. So you had the Honest versus New Edition Flash, which is Splashy matchup, and me versus Jomar. Now, obviously, on PlayStation, the predictions would have highly likely been Jen versus Splash in the finals. On Xbox, I think the majority of the community probably would have predicted the Jomar versus two-way Roko matchup. I got off to one good start all day, and that was my start against Jomar. Now, it was tough for Jomar. Just think about this, right? You lose a game against Fly Guy Rye or whoever was playing on his account. You're so derailed. You're demoralized. Okay? You're literally demoralized. It happened to me last year. I lost the game in 250. You just sit there. like you just sit there stunned because it's for a lot of money, okay? And then to later just find out, okay, I might have a chance, and then to get to play it like he literally like the Undertaker, you know, rising up, waking up, man. That's Jomar. And so he messaged me like, yo, because we were supposed to play in 8 minutes, and that's when we played. So he didn't have a lot of time to prepare, but at the same time, I hadn't played for 3 or 4 hours either. So it was kind of an emotional roller coaster for him. I'd been waiting around forever. I did get out to a hot start. I think it was up 6 points early on, which was big for me because I go down. Look, Brian, I was down 7. Chris, I think I was down 6 or 7. Defense to offense, I was down 9-0. I put Lonzo Ball in the starting lineup. I did my thing, man. I got up to a good start. Second, it was a close game though. I said 4 points early in the second quarter, and then I went on a massive run, probably like a 19-4 run against Jomar, which I was knocking down threes, forcing turnovers, doing my thing in the second quarter. Really extended the lead to 20 and never looked back. That was the game versus Jomar. Was the only game I feel like in the second quarter I had a good enough lead, not in which I was comfortable, but in which I could play my game. Even against Brian, Chris, those were the third quarter pushes. Versus Jomar was a second quarter push, and man, I'm not gonna lie with you, the second half when I was up 20, the seconds that ran off the clock felt like minutes. Like I was just trying to get out the game, celebrate, man, enjoy myself, because obviously it's a big accomplishment. But all respect to Jomar, man. If there's one guy on this bracket I wanted to match up with, it might have been Jomar. I absolutely love Jomar. He does things the right way, and I have absolutely nothing but respect to Jomar and everything that he signifies. So definitely that's kind of how the Xbox side unfolded. Obviously with the Fly Guy Rise situation, look, it's not. There's no proof that on PlayStation that somebody didn't have somebody on their account either. It's just hopefully for the future, 2K takes the right steps for guys like Deed and Fade that maybe played somebody else on Fly Guy Rise account. Hey, it's sad to see. It really truly is. So hopefully in the future, 2K does something the right way in which they require face cams, because in my opinion, that's the only way to solve this solution. It's sad that 2K has to worry about this, but we've seen in the community this year with Zens, with everything, dudes will literally do anything to try to secure bread. So yeah, it's for me. I hope I try to do everything the right way, right? I qualified on my own account. I played the last qualifier on my own account trying to improve my score. I only had one account in this thing. I tried doing things the right way, and I think the majority of people in this bracket and PlayStation bracket do. There's just those, some people that just try to do things the wrong way, take advantage of the system. And so I think 2K did a good job with it. Some stuff happened with the last qualifiers, right? It took them 10 days to send emails because there was some legal stuff going on. And then obviously you had this, right? Where they took an hour probably trying to sort through some stuff, and they got it right. There is good and there's bad. The good thing is they advanced Jomar. Bad thing is Fade and Deeds. If it is what everybody thinks, they don't get the opportunity that I wish they did. But that is how the Xbox side unfolded and how my personal road to 50K or to the 250K Xbox side went. Now on the PlayStation side, you had Honest vs Splash in a great game. That game was going on at the same time as like the Jomar situation. So there's a lot going on at this time, but the Splash versus Honest game was elite. That game, it was like a 1-point game with 2 minutes left. Splash's offense is just so explosive. Similar to MJ's, man. He just goes on a little 9-0 run. Bow, bow, bow with Havlicek, and it's over with. And that's what happened at the end of the Honest game. Havlicek got takeover, and that's really all she wrote. But that's really how my road to 250K went. Obviously, Splash versus Ty, the community showdown, man. You ask anybody who's been in the MyTEAM community for the last 2 years, that's the matchup that they wanted to see. And so we get to bring that to you guys on March 6th. Now, there might be some questions. Is it going to be online? Is it going to be in person? Hopefully, I find out those details soon enough. Again, it is on the PlayStation platform, so hopefully I can get my account on PlayStation, or like the dev account. I don't know how they do it, but hopefully I can get my exact team on the PlayStation console so I can start playing some games over there and getting used to it. PlayStation's my home, man, so I'm coming back home for the 250K finals. Guys, I hope you guys did enjoy my video. I wanted to quickly break down what I saw in the tournament yesterday. I'm glad 2K, you can say whatever they want. They took some right steps yesterday, although there was some downsides to it, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you are new. And as always, man, I love you guys and have a blessed day.